we begin today with the Indiana Pacers coming from 15 points down in the fourth quarter and shocking Oklahoma City on a last-second shot by who else? Tyrese Halliburton. Oklahoma City was heavily favored in this game and heavily favored in this series. Pablo, what did last night say to you about this matchup?
That this is the story of this NBA season. Tyrese Halliburton, these Pacers, using those win probability charts where it looks like, wow, they're about to lose. It's 99.9% likely. And Tyrese Halliburton takes those graphs and he picks his teeth with them. He's done this every round. Tony, I'm in New York. Yeah. You know this. I saw what he did to the Knicks. Yesterday on this show, you said, Novak Djokovic, sometimes you dislike a guy, you stand up from your couch and applaud. While you were asleep last night, I was standing up and applauding for a villain because this is the legend that is real. I don't know who's more clutch than him. I don't know a team that's had more comebacks like this than these Pacers. It is remarkable to watch happen in real time.
Yeah, let me give you some statistics when I get to that. Thank you for telling the world that I missed the game. I didn't miss the game. I missed the ending of the game. I did what any sane person on the East Coast would do. I stopped watching. And why? Because Oklahoma City was up by 15 points with 9 to go. And Oklahoma City going into this game was 43-7 at home. And Oklahoma City had the MVP of the league who was scoring a lot of points. So I said, okay, this game is over. And I got out. Right now, how do I feel about all of this now? If you were a person who, for example, picked Oklahoma City in 4 or 5, as long as you said 5, you still have a chance. Historically, there was a team, the Laker team, with Shaq and Kobe, got beat in the first game by the Philadelphia 76ers with Allen Iverson, and then swept the next 4 games. So that stuff happens. But Rick Carlisle is a crafty fellow. I don't know that that happens here. I think people have forgotten, and I think I forgot, how great Indiana was against the second-best team in the whole league. Cleveland beat them 4-1 in the playoffs. You mentioned these other things. We'll get to Halliburton in a second. This is the 5th time in these playoffs that Indiana has come back from being down at least 15 points. 5 times in these playoffs, not 3 years, these playoffs. And Tyrese Halliburton is 6 of 7 in these playoffs when he is taking either a shot to tie or go ahead in the last 90 seconds, which is pretty good for the most overrated player in the league, right? And again, those people who voted him that should stand up and say, I'm an idiot, because look at what he's doing. He is, I think it's fair to say, he is on the verge of becoming legendary.
Oh, they should have to put a sign on their lawn that says how bad they got this. And by the way, you know, Halliburton has always been a bit of a hood ornament for the all-NBA sort of a roster. He was with the Olympic team, never played, and we all agreed, like, of course, it's Tyrese Halliburton. He's just the other guy. He's now the star. Tony, he is the story of this postseason. He's doing things with a level of comfort under pressure, which to me is the greatest way to earn respect objectively. That to me is
it doesn't mean they're going to win.
Special.
It doesn't mean that Indiana is going to win this series. No, it doesn't mean that at all. But, you know, that was a stunner. That was a stunner.
It means that at least, we're going to be watching more basketball. We should watch some of this tennis, though, because in the French Open, Tony, Novak Djokovic's improbable run came to a close this afternoon because he fell to number 1 seed Jannik Sinner in straight sets. On the other side of the draw, Carlos Alcaraz dropped the first set to Lorenzo Musetti, won the second in a tiebreak, bageled Musetti in the third, was up 2-0 in the fourth, and Musetti retired with a thigh injury. So it's going to be Sinner and Alcaraz on Sunday, Tony. Your reaction to today's results would be what?
Well, my first reaction to the Alcaraz match is I'm not a doctor. Well, I am a doctor. I'm not that kind of doctor. And I don't want to be too hard on Musetti. But he's doing great. He wins the first set, loses the second set in a tiebreak against a guy who has won majors. I mean, he looks really good. So they say it's a thigh injury. I'm sorry that it's a thigh injury. I'm sorry he didn't feel he could play. Heard about it was like, well, you don't get out of the semifinal in a major unless you're dead or vomiting all over the court. I mean, you hang in there. So I don't want to impugn him. And my reaction to Djokovic, and I watched a lot of this match. and it's well known I'm not a big fan of Djokovic's. I'm not. But he went out like a lion. I mean, he was a champion out there. He's being run around the court by a guy 15 years younger than him. And he never did anything but play hard and play well. I think Sinner missed more shots than Djokovic. Djokovic kept the ball in play all the time. I mean, good for him. Good for him.
But I think there must be some creeping sense, though, that we're close to the end for Djokovic. And it's not because he looked like he wanted to give up. It is not the case that he rolled over. You're totally right about that, even as I am unsurprised to hear you say that you respect someone way older than someone else giving a real effort out there. I appreciate the thin psychoanalysis I may be tempted into right now. I am also, though, going to observe that what we're getting with Alcaraz and Sinner, Tony, is this next generation in the present tense.
Yes.
And that's what's astonishing here, is that Sinner is the top-ranked player. Alcaraz might be better. Alcaraz might be the guy. And again, we're on to a conversation now that Djokovic crashed, right? Djokovic was the latecomer, so it's not, of course, settled what this is going to be, but that's what I'm so impressed by. We're getting this stuff at that age, 22 and 23, today.
There's a complicating issue. There's a complicating issue, and that is the drug test on Sinner and the suspension of Sinner for having had a masking agent at one point. And a lot of people in tennis, go, well, what is going on here? And I think that's out there. The other thing is, did you see his outfit today? He looked like somebody dressed him from the Little Rascals from 70 years ago. Like, what was that outfit? That was weird. But he's really a good player. He's really a good player. Let's move to the College Softball World Series, where last night, Texas Tech evened the series to 1-1 with a winner-take-all game tonight. Texas Tech lost game one when their great pitcher, Nigel Kennedy, couldn't execute an intentional walk, and the Texas batter hit what was intended to be ball four for a two-run go-ahead hit. Last night, Kennedy was back on the mound, got a strikeout to end it at 4-3 with a tying Texas run on third. When asked if Kennedy would pitch again tonight, Texas Tech coach Jerry Glasgow said, and I'm quoting here, on one condition, if she's breathing, unquote. Pablo, do you like Kennedy and Texas Tech's chances tonight? You like them?
I love those chances. I love that quote. It reminds me of what Mike D'Antoni said during Linsanity, if I may refer back to my own journalism here. I'm going to ride him like he's friggin' Secretariat. That is what you do when someone is on a hot streak like this. And the irony of the hot streak, of course, is that the only reason it seems that they lost game one was because she's so good at pitching that she didn't know how to throw ball four intentionally. And that was, of course, this amazing clip from that game. But what we're seeing right now is somebody who is going to pitch every plausible inning because she got paid $1 million a year in NIL, Tony. That was how I first learned of her, to do exactly this for Texas Tech out of Stanford.
Yeah. So that she's the column. And the beginning of the column is that they paid her $1 million to transfer from Stanford, $1 million for a college softball pitcher. And they had to have in mind at Texas Tech this game. Can she get us to the World Series? Can she get us to where we can win it? This is the game. This is the referendum. She's the column. Does she win or does she lose? She pitches every pitch in every single game. I called Richard Justice, our friend Richard Justice, a couple of days ago about this because he's a Texas guy. He went to UT. He's born and raised in Texas. He lives in Houston. He said the entire state is gone wild about this, the Texas Tech, Texas College World Series. The ratings are up before the finals. The ratings were up 25% from last year. Patrick Mahomes was at this game last night. He was cheering wildly. I looked at him. It looked like around his neck, Pablo, he had black rhinestones. I was informed today they were black diamonds. So I want to make sure that I say that they were diamonds. But is she going to win? I have no idea. This is not anything that I handicap. Texas is good too. Texas rested their pitcher yesterday, only pitched 2/3 of an inning. So she's rested in the way that Alcaraz is going to be rested before the final against Sinner because he didn't have to go the last set.
But Tony, in Texas, they recognize a hoss when they see it, right? Someone who's going to throw that ball as hard as they can, as often again, also made real.
You know what's great, by the way? That none of the women pitching in softball seem to have to need Tommy John surgery. That the underhanded motion works, whereas the overhanded motion, everybody's in the hospital. All right, let's take a break. Coming up, what's the word for Junior Caminero's game-winning sprint from second last night?
And how best to describe the showdown in tomorrow's Belmont Stakes.
It's in my ear that Kennedy's getting another $1 million next year. It's already been reported. I'd ask for more. If I won this one tonight, I'd ask for $2 million. Yeah. I asked for $2 million.
Couple of carve-outs.
What are you doing?
Break that deal wide open.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Come on. Time for a little Friday wordplay. What's first?
Junior Caminero's winning run last night was blank.
So my word is bizarre. Caminero scored from second on an infield hit. It's the bottom of the ninth. Tampa has the bases loaded. They're down 1 run. The Tampa player hits the ball to the right side. The first baseman chases the ball in front. The second baseman chases the ball from behind. And the pitcher doesn't get over there to cover in time. So it's an infield hit. Obviously, the guy from third scores. But Caminero runs through a stop sign at third base and attempts to score from second base. And here's his quote: "I didn't even look at the third base coach. I just went." So they get 2 runs on a ball that does not get out of the infield. Caminero runs 180 feet. Pablo, I didn't know he could run because the only time I've ever seen him, he has hit a home run and he walks around the bases in a full minute, shaking hands with everybody. That was in the Dominican League World Series. You know, and I didn't have any idea he could run. My word is bizarre.
My word is triggering. And I say that because I watched Garrett Cole not cover first in a play that was very flashback-inducing to lose the most miserable game I've ever seen, Game 5 of the World Series, just last fall. So already I'm just like, wish he had covered first, Mr. Pitcher. Can we just get pitchers who can do that? Now, the Caminero thing, man, if he had seen his third base coach, he would have seen a stop sign. That's why this is so delicious.
Yeah.
The guy is just calling his own shot. He is doing whatever he wants. And by the way, when you hit 6 home runs in the last 8 games, when you're 21 years old, when everything seems to be a giant T-ball, yeah, I guess you can do that. You can unilaterally decide, I'm coaching myself now.
Well, he appears to be becoming a star right before our eyes at a very young age. Hitting home runs all over the place. I mean, and, you know, we don't associate Tampa with a lot of home runs and a lot of scoring. They've always been a pitching team first, not a scoring team. What's next?
Tomorrow's showdown between sovereignty and journalism in the Belmont Stakes should be blank.
It should be riveting, okay? I watch the Belmont. I watch the Triple Crown. This is like a big deal for me. Sovereignty beat journalism fair and square in the slop and the mud at the Kentucky Derby. But then Sovereignty's trainer did not put him in the Preakness. Journalism went to the Preakness and had the greatest closing burst anybody had ever seen. He looked like Secretariat out there. And so what that does is set up the Belmont as the de facto race for Horse of the Year. I'm going to mention some names here and what they're picking. They're picking in this particular race. The great Andy Beyer is picking journalism. He said that he fell in love with journalism basically at the 16th pole at Pimlico. My friend Eddie, who gets this right very often, is picking Sovereignty. Other people are picking Baeza because they think that these 2 horses will expend too much energy and fall off the pace, and Baeza will be there to win. I think it's a match race. I think that everybody's eyes are going to be on these 2 horses, Journalism and Sovereignty. I'm rooting for Journalism, Pablo, because I was a newspaper reporter. I was never a king. I was never a duke. I was never a viscount. I was not a sovereign, so I'm rooting for Journalism.
Yeah, I fell in love with journalism personally when I realized that, wait a minute, they put journalists on TV and they make a ton of money and they don't have to write anymore. This is great. I have fallen in love with journalism thanks to you. But for me, the word is non-metaphorical, because I do want to make every joke about how journalism and sovereignty with democracy hang in the balance is all very on the nose, and we should lean into this, and the metaphors of burying leads and kickers. That's what journalism, the horse's story is. But that closing, man, Tony, the way that ended That closing kick.
Unbelievable.
It was dangerous. It was cinematic. It almost went horribly. It almost went we got to cancel the sport horribly. And instead we celebrate the press. A remarkable turn of events.
And he had no room to make that move and catch the horse in front. He did. That's the final word. Let's take one last break. Still to come. The Stars fire their very successful head coach. What gives with that?
And will the Panthers even things with the Oilers tonight in Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final?
Thank you for being kind on that. Wilbon would have made fun of the horsies, as we know, and you didn't do that. That was very nice. I appreciate that.
I'm here to talk about Aaron
great
Rodgers,
television
horses.
Show. Yeah, he doesn't do that.
It's a good
time.
time.
Talk about that. It's
good time, doctor.
Pardon the Interruption is brought to you by Real Steel. Find yours at steelusa.com.
Happy time, people. Happy 69th birthday, Bjorn Borg. Borg was a teenage sensation in the 70s. He was 18 when he won his first major, the French Open in 1974. He won another French Open in 1975. Then he won Wimbledon in 1976 and 1977. In all, Borg won 6 French and 5 Wimbledons. Borg never won the U.S. Open, though he went to 4 finals, twice losing to Jimmy Connors, twice losing to John McEnroe. Borg retired from tennis when he was just 26. The McEnroe-Borg matches were simply fabulous. I have a photo at home of their 1980 Wimbledon final when Borg won 8-6 in the 5th. The 4th set tiebreaker was 18-16 McEnroe. The match took 3 hours and 53 minutes. I can't look at John McEnroe without thinking of Borg.
No, Tony, I cannot escape the idea that tennis is a lot like boxing. You are defined by who beat you up. And in this case, just the shocking nature of his retirement at age 26. How shocking was that to you as someone who was covering this at the time? Because in retrospect, I don't get it. I am kind of stunned that he walked away like that.
Unbelievable. Like everybody had the same reaction. What? He's 26. What are you talking about? He never came back. Happy anniversary, Kyle Busch. On this day 16 years ago, the 2-time NASCAR Cup champion won a nationwide event in Nashville, then shockingly began smashing the custom hand-painted Les Paul Gibson guitar trophy onto the floor like a rock star at the end of a concert. This one-of-a-kind guitar trophy reportedly took motorsports artist Sam Bass 140 hours to complete. Soon after that, Busch said he smashed the guitar into pieces to provide memorabilia for the whole Joe Gibbs racing team, and it was later learned that Busch made significant monetary contributions to music programs in Nashville. I don't remember rock stars smashing their Grammys. The next time I see Wilbon, I'm going to ask him, should we smash our Emmys? Just smash them.
I kind of feel like you keeping your Emmys, speaking of just like the decor of your home, there's Bjorn Borg and then there's a bunch of Emmys in your bathroom. I feel like keeping them in the bathroom is enough statement at this point, to be quite honest with you.
Not all of them are in the bathroom. Some of them are in closets, underneath clothing. Happy trails, Pete DeBoer. The Dallas Stars fired their head coach today, even though he had led the team to the Western Conference Finals in each of his 3 seasons. In last week's elimination loss to the Oilers, DeBoer pulled star goalie Jake Ottinger, after he gave up 2 goals on the only 2 shots he faced, explaining, quote, "I didn't blame it all on Jake, but the reality is if you go back to last year's playoffs, he's lost 6 or 7 games to Edmonton," unquote. Bomb quote. Stars GM Jim Nils said those comments played a role in the decision, but were not the reason for it. I wonder whether a team will throw their present coach overboard to hire DeBoer.
Right. I mean, the conspicuous part, if you're DeBoer, is you got fired after every job was filled, which would raise a bit of frustration in me if I was him, especially when I remember I am 9-0 in Game 7s. I am good at this, even if this would be my 6th head coaching job, should I get another one.
It seems deliberately mean. It does to me. Let's go to the big finish.
Yeah.
Adam Silver said he'll talk expansion with team owners next week. You excited by that?
I am excited, a little concerned, but Seattle deserves a team. Las Vegas seems faded for one. The Braves, meanwhile, led the Diamondbacks 10-4 with 1 out in the 9th and lost 11-10. Your thoughts?
I got to read this. They had won 766 games in a row when leading by 6 runs after the 8th inning. 766. Yankees starter Max Fried beat the Guardians, raising his record to 8-1, lowering his ERA to 1.78. You impressed?
I am impressed. It was a great acquisition. Also, the Yankees are hosting the Red Sox for 3 starting tonight, so, eat it, Joe Scarborough. Meanwhile, Coco Gauff faces Arina Sabalenka tomorrow for the French Open women's title. Who you got?
I'm pulling a Wilbon. I'm pushing. I don't know. They're 5-5 career against each other. Last one. Panthers-Oilers, game 2 tonight. Who you got?
I got the Panthers. I have the state of Florida for reasons that I continue to regret, but I have the Panthers.
We're out of time. We'll try to do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
And I'm Pablo Torre. Thank you for watching. Pablo Torre Finds Out is my show. But for now, your sports segment.
I have a podcast too. Did you know that?
PTI.
Me.
In tonight's PTI bonus topic, I look ridiculous.
All right, Pablo, what's your biggest takeaway from Tyrese Halliburton's game winner?
That you don't want to see him walking through those swinging saloon doors. I mean, Tony, imagine a room full of every player on the Olympic team, all NBA, whatever. In walks Tyrese Halliburton. The reaction, the goosebumps that everybody has to now feel is so comically different from where we were a year ago. And I'm obsessed with how it is that a guy under pressure proves that actually he might be the most terrifying person with a basketball in clutch time. That's metrically, that is also viscerally now in this room, which is actually an arena. An arena in Oklahoma City where everybody felt like he destroyed their world.
So I come back to this for the last month and a half now, that there was a vote among NBA players, and they voted Tyrese Halliburton the most overrated player. Tyrese Halliburton has done this to 4 different teams in these playoffs.
Yes.
He did it to Milwaukee, he did it to Cleveland, he did it to the Knicks, and now he's done it to Oklahoma City. And attention must be paid to something like that. I don't want to say this is a fluke win, because Indiana has now, in these playoffs, 5 different times come back to win games when they were down 15 or more.
Wild.
15 or more. But I will say this. I was talking this morning with Tim Legler, and Tim Legler was talking about how Oklahoma City's defense was absolutely as advertised. They turned Indiana over 19 times in the first half, Pablo. That's a tremendous amount of turnovers. But they only got 9 points off that. If they had gotten the expected 15 to 20 off that, they win this game by 25 points. Because they actually played, the defense they had was their defense. So,
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch the Pacers. They play with depth on that roster. They have these hockey lines almost. But at the end, they play superhero ball. They give it to Tyrese Halliburton, and he breaks your heart. Yeah. It's the story of the year. And at this point, I suppose it's time for us to leave this metaphorical room. The segment's over. We're done. Back to you.
Appreciate you.